All right, joining us now to discuss, CNN political commentator Maria Cardona and founder and principal at Blue Stack Strategies, Mara Gillespie. Okay, Donald Trump certainly did not run on any of this. And I know you all remember back in the day when he talked about buying Greenland before. Now he's added taking control of the Panama Canal and making Canada the 51st state. Why is he doing this, Mara? This is not what the American public, not what he ran on, certainly. Why is he talking about this right now?
It certainly has Republicans like myself concerned, because this certainly doesn't follow along with his America First platform, kind of deflecting to land grab issues that were not what the American people voted on Election Day. Just gives us pause about what it is that his plan is for addressing the real issues that Americans were concerned about and voted for him in November, mainly with immigration and with border control and with the economy. And by picking at Panama and Greenland as a land grab thing, as opposed to actually having policy issues addressed, it's concerning. And I think it just goes to deflecting, because he knows that right now there is a lack of leadership in the White House. There isn't much being said. And so he's taking any and all attention and trying to deflect from the fact that he doesn't currently have a plan. And that should give cause for concern for a lot of Republicans right now.
All right. I want to ask you this, Maria, because I know you've talked about this ad nauseum with our dear Kate this morning. We are hearing discontent about House Speaker Mike Johnson. Thomas Massie has come out publicly saying that he doesn't think he'll support him. And then there are several other Republicans who have said things privately, one of whom said that he's in trouble. What does this say about the Republicans' propensity to lead if the first thing they have to do when the term starts is go through another battle for Speaker, Maria?
I think this underscores what Democrats have been saying for a very long time, which is Republicans have no idea how to govern. Seems like they have no interest in how to do it either, and that the Republican caucus is way too divided, way too fractured. There are too many people in that caucus that aren't interested in actually governing for the American people and are going to only stand up for their own pure idealistic vision, which is not how you run government. It's not how you pass laws in the best interest of the American people. And I think it's a great opportunity for Democrats to underscore that to the American people, that it's Democrats that understand what needs to be done in order to negotiate and compromise and focus on the best interests for America's families, working families, middle-class families, and put those ahead of anything. And it's frankly what allowed President Biden, even with a Republican Congress and a Democratic Senate helping him, to pass the most consequential pieces of legislation in the last 4 years. And so Democrats are going to continue with that message going into this Congress, underscoring the crazy chaos that Republicans bring to the American people.
But it is the Democrats who did end up losing the Senate and the House and the presidency. Maura, when you look at this situation, do you think, and are you hearing, that Johnson is indeed in trouble? Because we know from the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries says we're not going to help him this time. He's on his own with his own party.
It's certainly a problem for Johnson, because he did build a relationship with Hakeem Jeffries, which is important when you have such a thin majority. And they'll still have a thin majority going into this next Congress. And being Speaker doesn't mean that you just are a rubber stamp for everything that the Republican Party says and does. You are an institutionalist, leader of the whole House, you're Speaker of the whole House. So that's an important role to remember as being Speaker. And I think for Mike Johnson, this next few weeks, he's going to have to go back and probably explain to Trump why things work a certain way. But I'll just remind people that, we have a separation of powers for a reason. And what happened over the debt ceiling and the debate, that's going to continue. But to shut down the government, as Trump wanted to do, is really, really damaging. And that's not how you use your political capital going into this next, change of government, right? Republicans have a lot of opportunities here, especially in this first year, next, 2 years, to really get their agenda across. But if they can't even get the most basic tenets of that, passed, which is electing a speaker in January, that's a problem. And I think that for most of them should realize that they need to move ahead under Johnson to get things done. Congress has a separate role through the presidency, and it's important that they remember that.
I want to quickly get to this because it sparked a lot of people's interest. The incoming chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, which we don't talk about on a daily basis for sure, sending a stern message to the owners of television stations and networks. CNN obtained one of those letters to ABC, which reads in part, "Dear Mr. Iger, Americans no longer trust the national news media to report fully, accurately, and fairly. ABC's own conduct has certainly contributed to the erosion in public trust." What do you make of this, Maria? If you could give us just a quick idea of what you make of this, because Donald Trump in the past has talked about snatching broadcast licenses. Is this someone who he's pushing towards doing something like that, or at least making people believe that could happen?
Yeah, I think that the administration is making overtures to what we know Trump wants to do, which is exactly what you underscored. And I think what they have to be really careful about, both the FCC chair as well as everyone who is incoming, heads of agencies, heads of the departments, is this massive overreach that the Trump administration is signaling that they want to embark on. And I think they are overconfident about the quote-unquote mandate that they think they have, which is not a real mandate, Sarah. Like you pointed out, thank you, Democrats did lose the House, the Senate, and the White House, but this is still a very divided country. Donald Trump didn't even get to 50% of the popular vote. 7,000 votes are what separates Democratic control of the House from Republican control of the House. And the Senate still has small margins for Republicans. And so they have to be really careful about this kind of overreach, because that is not what the American people voted for. American people voted for Trump to bring down grocery prices, bring down housing prices. And that's like the last thing that he's been talking about in these last several weeks. And I think it's going to be something that is a very big risk for Republicans.
Maria Cardona and Maura Gillespie, thank you so much for being here on this holiday weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to the both of you.
Thank you, Sarah. Merry Christmas.